Have you ever wondered where the Bible really came from? I mean, we all know it's one of the most influential books in history, but the real story behind its origins might not be what you think. What if I told you that the process of creating the Bible, as we know it today, is filled with political intrigue, hidden agendas, and unexpected twists? Stick around as we uncover the shocking truth about how the Bible was assembled, translated, and altered throughout the centuries. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Let's start at the beginning. The Bible wasn't written by a single author, nor was it penned in a short period of time. Instead, it's a compilation of ancient texts that span centuries and cultures. The Old Testament, for example, contains writings from various Jewish traditions, some dating as far back as 1200 BCE. These texts were passed down orally for generations before they were ever written down. Imagine that a sacred book whose earliest chapters were told and retold like an ancient game of telephone. The stories evolved, and sometimes even the meaning behind the words shifted. But what many don't realize is that these early texts weren't even meant to be part of a unified book. They were independent scrolls, each carrying a unique message. It wasn't until much later that religious leaders decided which texts to include and which to leave out. And here's where things start getting interesting. Now, fast forward to the 4th century. Enter the Roman Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. This is where the real political drama begins. At this point, Christianity had grown, but it was far from unified. Different Christian sects had their own versions of scriptures and beliefs, which led to confusion and even conflict. Constantine wanted to unite the empire under one faith, and so he called the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. The goal? To establish a uniform Christian doctrine and determine which books would be considered divinely inspired. But this wasn't a purely spiritual decision. It was a political one. Constantine needed a stable, unified empire, and religion was a tool to achieve that. The council debated and ultimately decided which texts would be included in the Bible and which would be excluded. This process of selection and exclusion is something not many people know about, and it raises big questions about what was left out and why. What about the books that didn't make the cut? You might be shocked to learn that there are dozens of ancient writings that were left out of the Bible, many of which offer completely different perspectives on key biblical figures. Take, for instance, the Gospel of Thomas or the Book of Enoch. These were once considered sacred by certain groups, but were later deemed heretical or unfit for the official Bible. These excluded books, often referred to as apocrypha or lost gospels, present alternate viewpoints that challenge the traditional narrative. Some of these texts offer different teachings of Jesus, others dive into mystical traditions, and some explore completely different cosmologies. So why were these books rejected? Scholars argue that the early church leaders wanted to promote a singular, cohesive theology, and anything that didn't fit that mold was discarded. Even after the Bible was assembled, the story doesn't end there. The Bible has been translated into thousands of languages, but each translation comes with its own set of challenges. The original texts were written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and some of these languages don't have direct equivalents in modern tongues. This has led to countless debates over the meaning of certain passages. For example, did you know that the word virgin in reference to Mary might not be an accurate translation? In Hebrew, the word used could simply mean young woman, which dramatically alters the traditional understanding of the nativity story. Throughout history, different religious groups have created their own versions of the Bible, often tailoring the translation to fit their beliefs. The King James Version, for instance, was created in 1611 under the directive of King James I of England, and it remains one of the most popular translations today. But how much of the original meaning was preserved, and how much was altered to fit the political or theological needs of the time? So, what does all of this mean for us today? The Bible remains one of the most widely read and influential books in the world, but its origins remind us that it's a product of human hands, shaped by history, politics, and culture. Some scholars even argue that the Bible should be viewed as a living document, one that continues to evolve as new translations and interpretations emerge. In recent years, new discoveries like the Dead Sea Scrolls have given us a clearer picture of the ancient texts that led to the Bible we have today. These scrolls contain some of the oldest known versions of biblical texts, shedding light on how much has changed over time. As we continue to uncover these hidden histories, it becomes clear that the Bible is far more complex and far more fascinating than we might have ever imagined. Before the invention of the printing press, all books, including the Bible, had to be copied by hand. This painstaking task fell to scribes, who dedicated their lives to meticulously reproducing religious texts. But even the most diligent scribes were not immune to errors. Over the centuries, mistakes crept into the Bible, and in some cases, intentional changes were made to align with doctrinal beliefs of the time. In ancient monasteries, the Bible was often copied over and over, with each new generation of scribes introducing minor variations, some accidental, others purposeful. One striking example comes from the Latin Vulgate, a 4th century translation of the Bible by St. Jerome. His translation became the standard for centuries, but even his work reflected the theological biases of his era. Scholars have since uncovered differences between the Vulgate and earlier Greek or Hebrew texts, offering further insight into how the Bible has evolved. Despite the best efforts to maintain accuracy, the Bible's journey through the hands of countless scribes inevitably led to variations. This leads us to ask, how different is the Bible we read today from its earliest forms? Many people may be surprised to learn that some elements of the Bible have striking similarities to earlier pagan myths and religious traditions. The story of a great flood, for instance, is not unique to the Bible. Ancient Mesopotamian texts, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, also tell the tale of a catastrophic flood sent by the gods to cleanse the earth. The parallel between Noah's Ark and these older stories raises questions about whether the biblical flood story was influenced by earlier civilizations. There are also fascinating parallels between the Bible and Egyptian, Greek, and Roman mythologies. Some scholars point out that the concept of a dying and resurrecting God, as seen in the story of Jesus, can be found in various ancient myths, from the Egyptian god Osiris to the Greek figure of Dionysus. This isn't to say that the Bible copied these myths directly, but it does suggest that ancient religious ideas were often shared, adapted, and reinterpreted across cultures. Understanding these connections can give us a deeper appreciation of the Bible's place in the broader context of human history and spirituality. The term Apocrypha refers to a collection of books that were included in some versions of the Bible, but were later excluded from most Protestant editions. These texts, like the Book of Tobit or the Wisdom of Solomon, are still considered canonical in the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions. But why were they removed from other versions of the Bible? The answer lies in the Reformation. In the 16th century, Protestant leaders like Martin Luther questioned the authenticity of these texts, arguing that they lacked the same divine inspiration as the rest of the Bible. Luther believed that the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, should be the standard for Christian scripture, which led to the removal of the apocryphal books from many Protestant Bibles. However, these texts remain an important part of Christian history and theology. They offer additional stories, wisdom, and insight that can enhance our understanding of the biblical world. For those who have only read the Protestant Bible, the Apocrypha provides a fascinating window into alternate versions of biblical events. The spread of Christianity throughout the Roman Empire is one of the most significant historical events related to the Bible's influence. In the early days of Christianity, followers of Jesus were often persecuted by Roman authorities. The religion spread in secret, with early Christians relying on oral traditions and scattered writings to share their beliefs. It wasn't until the conversion of Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century that Christianity gained a foothold in the Roman world. Constantine's decision to legalize Christianity and his role in shaping its doctrines through councils like Nicaea played a pivotal role in the Bible's prominence. Christianity went from being a persecuted sect to becoming the dominant religion of the empire. With this shift, the Bible transitioned from a collection of obscure religious texts to the foundation of a global faith. This transformation wasn't just spiritual, it was political too. As Christianity spread through Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, the Bible became a tool of both faith and power. The Roman Empire's embrace of Christianity ensured that the Bible would become one of the most important books in human history. Few books have had as much impact on Western civilization as the Bible. Its teachings have shaped art, law, philosophy, and even the concept of human rights. From the Renaissance to the Enlightenment, the Bible has been both a source of inspiration and a point of contention for scholars, artists, and political leaders. Many of the fundamental principles of Western law, such as the idea of justice and equality, can be traced back to biblical teachings. The Bible also played a central role in the development of modern democracy. Early political thinkers like John Locke and Thomas Jefferson were influenced by biblical ideas, particularly the concept of individual liberty and moral responsibility. Even the language of the Bible has left its mark on Western culture. Phrases like a good Samaritan, the powers that be, and the writing on the wall have become common idioms, thanks to their biblical origins. However, the Bible's influence has also sparked debates and conflicts. Throughout history, different interpretations of biblical texts have led to religious schisms, wars, and social movements. Understanding the Bible's complex role in shaping Western civilization is essential for anyone seeking to understand the cultural and political landscape of today. The Protestant Reformation in the 16th century marked a major turning point in the history of the Bible and Christianity. Figures like Martin Luther, John Calvin, and Huldrych Zwingli challenged the practices of the Catholic Church, which they believed had strayed from the original teachings of Christ. One of Luther's most significant actions was translating the Bible into German, making it accessible to the common people for the first time. This act of translation not only empowered individuals to read the scriptures for themselves, but it also sparked widespread debate over interpretation and doctrine. The Reformation led to the establishment of various Protestant denominations, each with its own interpretation of the Bible. The emphasis on sola scriptura, the belief that Scripture alone is the ultimate authority, was a fundamental principle for many reformers. This shift reduced the Catholic Church's control over biblical interpretation, allowing for a diversity of beliefs and practices. While the Reformation aimed to return to the original message of Christianity, it also gave rise to a multitude of conflicting interpretations, resulting in religious wars and societal upheaval across Europe. The impact of the Reformation continues to be felt today, as the Bible remains at the center of theological debates and discussions among different Christian traditions. The Bible played a complex role during the age of colonialism. European powers often used Christianity as a tool for colonization, aiming to convert indigenous peoples and civilize them according to Western norms. Missionaries were frequently at the forefront of this movement, bringing the Bible along with them as they spread their faith. This often resulted in the translation of biblical texts into local languages, which had a profound impact on those cultures. However, the Bible was not just a tool for evangelism, it was also a source of resistance. Many indigenous communities adapted biblical teachings to support their own struggles for autonomy and cultural identity. The story of Exodus, for instance, resonated deeply with enslaved people in America, who drew parallels between their own experiences and the Israelites' liberation from Egypt. In this way, the Bible became a symbol of hope and resilience for those seeking freedom from oppression. Yet, the legacy of the Bible during colonialism is fraught with contradictions. While it offered spiritual solace, it was also misused to justify violence, land dispossession, and cultural erasure. Understanding this duality is crucial for grappling with the Bible's historical significance. In modern times, the Bible has served as both a foundation and a rallying point for numerous social justice movements. From the abolition of slavery to the civil rights movement, biblical teachings have inspired activists to fight for equality and justice. Leaders, like Martin Luther King Jr., frequently drew on Scripture to articulate their vision for a more just society, emphasizing themes of love, compassion, and the inherent dignity of every individual. The prophetic voices in the Bible, like Amos and Micah, challenged systemic injustice and called for a society that cared for the marginalized. Their messages continue to resonate today, reminding us of the need for advocacy and action against social inequalities. However, the Bible's role in social justice is not without controversy. Different groups interpret Scripture in vastly different ways, leading to debates over issues like LGBTQ+ rights, immigration, and environmental justice. These differences can create deep divisions within communities. Yet, the ongoing dialogue around these topics highlights the Bible's enduring relevance and the ways it can be a catalyst for change in contemporary society. The influence of the Bible extends far beyond the church. It permeates popular culture in numerous ways. From films and literature to music and art, biblical references and themes are pervasive. Movies like The Ten Commandments and The Passion of the Christ have drawn large audiences, while contemporary music often incorporates biblical imagery and messages. Popular novels like The Da Vinci Code spark public interest and debate about biblical history and interpretation. These cultural representations can ignite curiosity and discussions about faith, history, and morality, though they sometimes oversimplify or sensationalize complex biblical narratives. Moreover, memes and social media play an increasingly significant role in how biblical ideas are communicated today. With the rise of digital platforms, people are using Scripture to express their thoughts, share inspirational messages, and even critique societal norms. This blend of faith and modernity creates a dynamic space for exploring spirituality in today's fast-paced world. Despite these adaptations, it's crucial to approach the Bible with a critical eye. Popular culture often prioritizes entertainment over accuracy, leading to misinterpretations that can shape public understanding of biblical texts. Archaeology has provided valuable insights into the historical context of the Bible, shedding light on the cultures, places, and events described in the texts. Discoveries like the Dead Sea Scrolls have offered some of the earliest manuscripts of biblical texts, revealing how they may have changed over time. These findings have fueled debates among scholars regarding authenticity, authorship, and interpretation. Archaeological excavations in the Holy Land have uncovered artifacts, inscriptions, and ancient sites that provide context for biblical stories. For example, the ruins of ancient Jericho have led to discussions about the historicity of the Israelite conquest described in the book of Joshua. While some argue that archaeological evidence supports the biblical narrative, others maintain that these findings do not confirm every biblical claim. While archaeology cannot definitively prove or disprove biblical accounts, it enhances our understanding of the historical and cultural backdrop against which these stories were written. This ongoing interplay between archaeology and biblical studies continues to captivate scholars and believers alike, illustrating the complexities of interpreting ancient texts in light of new discoveries. Today, there are countless translations of the Bible, each with its own approach to language and interpretation. From the literal translations of the New American Standard Bible, NASB, to the more dynamic and contemporary language of the New Living Translation, NLT, each version aims to make the text accessible to different audiences. In addition to linguistic differences, some translations reflect specific theological perspectives. For instance, the English Standard Version, EESV, is favored by many conservative evangelical groups for its adherence to a more traditional understanding of Scripture. In contrast, more inclusive translations, like the Inclusive Bible, aim to use gender-neutral language to promote equity in interpretation. The rise of digital technology has also transformed how we engage with the Bible. Online platforms allow users to compare different translations side by side, access commentaries, and explore cross-references. Bible apps provide daily verses and devotional content, making it easier for people to integrate Scripture into their daily lives. Welcome to Blessovia Science TV, where we take you on an exhilarating journey through the cosmos and unravel the mysteries of science. We are excited to offer you the opportunity to become a valued member of our ever-growing community of cosmic enthusiasts and knowledge seekers. Exclusive access to cosmic content. As a member of Blessovia Science TV, you will gain exclusive access to a treasure trove of cosmic content, including documentaries, interviews with leading scientists, space missions updates, and awe-inspiring visualizations of the universe, live Q, and sessions with experts. Your membership will grant you the chance to participate in live Q and sessions with renowned scientists, astronomers, and space explorers. Get your burning questions answered by those who push the boundaries of human knowledge. Embark on a journey that spans the cosmos and join us in unraveling the secrets of the universe. Become a Blessovia Science TV member today, and together we will reach for the stars. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to leave your comment.